Do you want to know how to save $40,000 tax-free for your first home purchase in Canada? In this video, I want to talk about the First Home Savings Account, or FHSA, and how it can help you get into your dream home faster. In fact, how it can be a game changer for those first-time home buyers. I'm going to tell you what is an FHSA, how does it work, who can open one, what are the rules about investments and tax deductions and all that, and when you have to close it. And as an added bonus, I'll also tell you a little bit about the difference between the First Home Savings Account and the Home Buyers Plan that you can use through your RRSP. The FHSA, or First Home Savings Account, was launched in April 2023 in Canada, and it was very popular. By the end of the year, 300,000 Canadians had taken advantage of opening up an FHSA. So how does a First Home Savings Account work? Well, first off, there are tax benefits for opening up an FHSA, or actually contributing to it. Number one, the money you put in is tax deductible. That means for every dollar that you put into an FHSA, it lowers your income for the year, thereby reducing your taxes for that year. Secondly, any growth of the investment in the FHSA, whether you're leaving it as cash and getting interest, buying a stock or a mutual fund, all that growth is also not taxed at all. Third, when you're ready to buy a home and a qualifying home and you take the money out of the FHSA, none of that growth is taxed either. So that's pretty cool because number one, you get a tax break immediately when you put the money in. Any growth in that doesn't get taxed and you can take it all out without paying tax. So who can open an FHSA? Well, you have to be a Canadian resident. You have to be between the age of 18 and 71, and in some provinces, the age is 19 as the age of majority. You can't have lived in a home that you owned this year or in the past 4 years, or you also couldn't have lived in a home that your spouse or common law partner owned or owned in the past 4 years. So if you pass those entrance criteria, you can open up an FHSA. So how much can you put into an FHSA? Well, each calendar year, you're allowed to put up to $8,000, up to a maximum of $40,000 lifetime. So if you do in $8,000 each year, within 5 years, you hit your limit. You can't put any more money in. However, if you don't put $8,000 every year, let's say you put in $4,000 that first year, the next year you can actually carry forward that $4,000 you haven't used and add it to the $8,000 that you're allowed, so that's $12,000 you can put in the next year. Don't over contribute because you're going to be taxed by the CRA 1% on every dollar that's above the amount that above the contributory limit. So just be careful about that. Now, once the money is inside the FHSA, you can actually invest it. You don't have to leave it as cash. You can, and you can ask your financial institution where you opened up your FHSA, what is the interest rate you're getting on cash? You might be able to buy a GIC. You might be able to buy stocks or ETFs or mutual funds or any of the other investment choices that you are currently allowed to do also in an RRSP. Not all financial institutions are going to offer you all the same types of investment choices. So it's good to know in advance before you open up your FHSA, if that's important to you, to ask what type of investments will I be allowed to have at your financial institution. The homework is important ahead of time, although you can open more than one FHSA if that is what you'd like to do. Sometimes perhaps I've heard that some people will open up an FHSA at one financial institution to hold just very low risk investments like a GIC or cash, and another one at another financial institutions where they will purchase stocks or ETFs or something a little bit more aggressive. That choice is up to you. Don't forget, talk with a financial professional to see how it fits into your financial plan, your risk profile, and all that jazz, because You're saving for one of the biggest purchases in your life, and a little bit of good advice can go a long way. Okay, so how do you withdraw money from the FHSA to buy your home? There's four criteria that you must meet. Number one, you have to be in agreement to buy a home or finish construction of a home within by October 1st of the following year. Secondly, you need to fill out Form R725 and submit that to your financial institution. You shouldn't have bought a home or made that purchase within 30 days of the withdrawal, more than 30 days of the withdrawal from the FHSA. And that just goes to making sure that you're using the FHSA funds for the right purpose of buying a home and not something else. And finally, the last thing that you need to do is make sure that that you're purchasing is your principal residence for the year. If you meet those four criteria, you're going to be cool. No problem. When do you have to close your FHSA? Well, FHSA rules say that it can only be open for 15 years maximum. Or if you've reached age 71, you also have to close it, even if the 15 years have not reached yet. So, for example, if you're 35 years old and you open up an FHSA, you can keep it open until the age of 50, because 35 and 15 equals 50. If you're 65, well, you got to close it pretty close within about 6 years, because you can't have it open more than age 71. Also, you have to close the FHSA if you've made a withdrawal in the past year. So you got to liquidate everything out of that FHSA if you have met any of those three criteria. All right, bonus material. What's the difference between FHSA and home buyers plan and the RRSP? Well, they're two different accounts. Number one, they both provide tax deduction on any contributions. The RRSP only provides you contribution room if you're working. So if you're working, then you will get contribution room to be able to put money into an RRSP. The first home savings account provides you with $8,000 of room the moment you open up that FHSA and you qualify to open it. So you don't have to be working for the FHSA. Of course, if you're not working, you need to find money from somewhere to put money in there, right? So that's one of the differences. The other difference is that for the home buyers plan, you're currently allowed to withdraw up to $35,000 maximum, unless, of course, if the 2024 budget proposal goes through and it goes up to $60,000. But in today's world, it's $35,000. The FHSA, you can put up you can contribute up to a lifetime limit of $40,000, but that $40,000 can grow to whatever it grows to if it's invested. So even if you get a small return of 3-4%, then whatever that $40,000 is, with the growth over the years, you can take the full amount out, and then you're not limited to the $40,000, which you are limited with the RRSP. But let's say you just put money in and you don't even invest, you don't get any interest, you don't get anything but the tax deductions, then you can take out $40,000 from your FHSA and $35,000 from your RRSP home buyer plan and use that for a down payment. One other significant difference is that you don't have to repay any money back to the FHSA as you would for the home buyers plan. Not that you're required by law to pay it back, but there is that condition that if you take it out for money from your RRSP as a home buyers plan for the down payment, you would pay that money back to your RRSP over a 15-year period. And I'm not going to get into the details of what happens if you don't pay it back, but suffice to say, it's not a requirement that you must pay it back. It's just that if you don't pay it back, you basically add it to your income for that year and pay taxes on it. And that's probably a topic for another video, but those are the main differences between the FHSA and the RRSP home buyers plan. You can have them both. You need enough income to support that both. And of course, don't forget, talk with a qualified financial planning professional, maybe your accountant, to make sure it doesn't make sense. So I wanted to end it off by saying I hope that this has given you some information and financial literacy around the whole concept of the FHSA. I'm going to share with you in my description in the links where I got all this information from. Of course, you can just Google FHSA and find that information. There's an amazing article that I reposted on my LinkedIn profile under my newsletter, all about the FHSA, which I used for most of the source material for this video. So that will be in the description, but also you can just go to the Government of Canada website and get the same information. Make sure you speak with your trusted financial planning professional to make sure that it makes sense for you and your family as you go forward with your goal of buying your home, your first home in Canada. You've only put in 6,000. 2,000 of that contributory room can be moved to the next year, and then